Aloha all, welcome to this edition of HIAMFT's Facebook Live. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Danny Gardner. Aloha, Danny.
Aloha, good morning.
Good morning. Wow, it's Monday.
I can feel it.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting Monday. Here in Hilo, the sun is shining.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic, because it's been so just kind of cold and dreary the last few days.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the sun in about a week in Pahoa, so it's been rough.
Yeah. Do you have any of that seasonal affective disorder stuff?
Oh yeah, I
Do
can
you?
feel it.
Too.
Sometimes when it's especially the rainy season between December and February, I'll have to just sneak off to Kona
Hmm.
every few weeks just to get some sunshine and regroup and process everything.
Yeah, same, same.
Yeah.
I know it's gray outside when I have this really intense craving for all things carb. Like I want peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and mac and cheese and quesadillas.
Grilled cheese with tomato soup. I mean,
Oh,
that's like our staple. That's what I grew up with in Wisconsin. So that was like, it's always my go-to food when things aren't really exciting, things are dreary. So yeah,
yeah.
still
Very-
Midwestern.
Oh, that's so great. Love that. Well, there is so much we could talk about today. We're not going to talk about all of it, but what I'll do is remind folks that we did send out our March newsletter on April 1st. So those of you that are on our list serve, you would have received that via email. So check that out. If you would like to receive a copy of that, you can contact us via email and we will send that to you, or Facebook Messenger if you're watching this on Facebook. Um, and I wonder if there's a way we can get that posted on our website. We need to do that at some point.
We can do that.
We can do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so there are a lot of things that we could talk about, but we're not going to because most of it is in that newsletter. However, there are a few things from that newsletter that I would like to discuss. First would be the legislative updates. So, Danny, you and I have been going to these meetings every week with the social workers and the psychologists and Becky Gardner, no relation to Danny Gardner, uh, and who is our lobbyist. And, we've been really trying to get some of these very important bills passed. Um, One of them, or several of them, having to do with audio only telehealth. And then the other big one was the associate level or dependent level licensing bill. Uh, so the updates are the dependent level licensing bill is POW for now. It got referred to a lot of different committees in the crossover process, which just means basically they want more time to think about it. They want more time to consider it. And so we're going to go ahead and rest on it for now in the legislative process. But over the next year, what we're going to be doing is continuing to refine our messaging around it, continue to work on building relationships with key stakeholders that uh, maybe didn't fully understand the intention of that bill. Um, and we're going to come back even stronger in 2023 to hopefully get that bill passed because it is so needed. People like you, Danny,
Yes.
when you graduate, it would be so wonderful if we could get you into a position where you're doing therapy for your post degree hours to meet licensure requirements and you could get paid. Um, it would be such a win win because we get to serve our clients. You could earn a living. Uh, we could be sure that your training is sufficient before you get independently licensed. It increases the tax revenue base for the state. It increases the likelihood of you spending a little bit more money around town, so it helps our local communities, businesses. So many benefits.
Absolutely.
Um, the other bills having to do with audio only telehealth, while two of them that we had initiated don't seem to be going anywhere at this point. That's okay because there's a larger bill that they are kind of subsumed by, in that this one bill, HB 1980, I think it is looking pretty good. And it would allow audio only telehealth to be considered telehealth, and it would qualify to be billed on a par with face-to-face services. Right? So parity is the technical term. So we're crossing our fingers that that's going to go through. We've been really hustling with editorial spots in different newspapers around the islands. We've been talking with different uh, key stakeholders in the legislature to get that figured out, so that they can have eyes on this thing and really help us push it through. Boy, Ray, Sonia, and Becky, they have just been, and Alex, just dynamos in this process, huh?
Incredible. I would love the Huey to come on Facebook Live too
That'd be
and just
great.
share their thoughts and experience as well, since we're all wrapping it up,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, I agree.
Mm.
And speaking of wrapping it up, so I think what we're going to do then is our Facebook Live posts here, we're going to wrap those up for the season, take a summer off, figure out some stuff, including sending out some surveys, one of which will be about a HIAMFT summer workshop that we want to do in July in person on Oahu. And so look for an email from us. Again, if you're a member, you'll receive that email because you're on our list serve. And if you're not a member, well, then you just go to hawaiimft.org and sign up. If you're a student, it's only $10. You just can't go wrong.
Right?
We even have a free option. If you really can't afford it and you really want to support us and stay involved, you could just join for free, and that would be okay too. Um, so look for those emails about some other things as well. And then we'll take the summer to figure out what our next big conference is going to be, which is going to be in the fall at some point. And we're going to work again with the social workers and the psychologists to have our second annual um, Hawaii Behavioral Health and Wellness Convention. Um, we have no idea what the topic's going to be yet. We're just in the beginning phases of figuring that out, um, uh, coinciding with the wrapping up of the legislative session. And then in the fall, we'll reconstitute in some way, shape, or form as we begin to look at elections for 2023. Uh, we need to have people to come onto the board, new folks. Um, Danny can't quite be president yet. She has to be licensed to be president. But when she is licensed, if she does become president, that'll be great. But in the meantime, um, we need somebody to take over the presidency. We need a president elect to begin this process. So look for that in the fall. So that's the broad, overarching overview of what's going on. A couple of things that I'd like to mention, and Danny, I'd love to hear if there's anything you want to mention too. Um, if you haven't read the latest JMFT journal articles, there's a special edition of the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy that came out in January, I believe. It's basically 10 years of clinical research on marriage and family therapy that was published. And I think you can access it, at least the introductory article, for free. You might be able to access all of it for free. And we can post that link in the chat here. But there's some good stuff in there. And it's looking at data from 2010 all the way through 2019 on all kinds of different presenting issues and therapy modalities, but specifically around couple and family therapy. So that's a must read for MFTs. Stay hip to the current literature. I'd also like to give a shout out to my friend and colleague Adrian Blow and his co-author Eli Karam, who just wrote a book on the common factors in marriage and family therapy, and that is going to be published this year, I believe, although it might be next year. And then Adrian wrote another book on deliberate practice that's coming out next year. So take a look at that. He's an incredible writer, and he's really focused on just doing what's helpful. Not getting caught up in a lot of the um, charisma of leaders and model developers or what is necessarily popular, but really looking at some of the evidence and saying what seems to actually be working. Um, so I just love that about him and about his work. And then speaking of models, there's an up and coming model uh, that I will be discussing next Monday after I do an interview with its author. Tomorrow, I'll be doing an interview, recording that, and sharing it with everybody. Her name is Carmen Knudsen Martin, and it's on the CERT model, which I believe is the socio emotional relational therapy model. Um, and I learned about this from Diane Gayhart, and it's a model that apparently is pretty good at bringing in some of those social cultural issues into the therapy room, particularly with couples therapy. So stay tuned for that. That should be an interesting interview. I'm looking forward to doing that.
That will be exciting.
Yeah. Danny will be there too, taking notes, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Danny, anything else?
Not right now. It's just a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot of flux happening right now. Feels like
Yeah.
um, it's the end of the spring is sort of beginning. The summer is just around the corner. We've got school semesters that are just about starting to wrap up here.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so there's definitely a shift happening. Gosh. Well, I don't know what else to say. I'm just glad that Danny, you continue to show up and support our MFTs, support me, because I don't know if you know just how helpful it is to me that I have you there so I can share
Thank
ideas,
you.
get feedback from, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll wrap it up for today, folks. Short and sweet. We'll put some of these links in the chat here. And again, if you're not a member, please join. And if you are a member, mahalo nui for supporting MFTs in Hawaii. And on that note, we will sign off and a hui ho. Take care.
Aloha.